What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Take It to the Bank podcast. I am your host, Ben Ballou from the Fishing University television show. Guys, I need to apologize. I have not been as good on doing this podcast as I really wanted to be. Uh, got kind of busy around here. Got been filming all fall. It's been absolutely wild. Got some great shows coming to you. They are airing this week on the Outdoor Channel. Um, also just had a brand new baby. So Mr. Barrett Howell arrived a little bit early, but doing great. Everybody's at home. We've enjoyed Christmas with him. And now it's kind of back to talking about fishing. It is the week of December 29th. Again, our shows start filming this week, or excuse me, start airing this week on the Outdoor Channel on World Fishing Network. And today I've got a super special guest. Bringing in the guest on our very first show of the season, airing this week. You can catch it Sunday morning at 9:30. There's a few more times this week that it'll be airing on the Outdoor Channel. Check your local program listings to find it. And I've got NFL lineman and fisherman extraordinaire, Mr. Ben Cleveland. Welcome to the Ben and Ben show. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the big bearded Ben. Dude, you're better at a lot of things obviously than I am. Playing football, lifting weights, all that kind of stuff. Your beard is freaking phenomenal right now.
Yes, I'd be kind of scared to know what I look like without it. I don't think I haven't seen a baby face in probably 12 years.
Um,
I was probably 15 the last time that my face didn't have a beard on it.
I mean, I'm trying to grow one. I can't grow any here. I can't grow none there. You're more of a man than I am. I'll go ahead and say it.
I mean, some people are just blessed with good genetics that way. I mean, you can't hide what you got.
Dude, and you definitely can't. So Ben and I got to know each other last year at the Bassmaster Classic. He had fished the Pro Am with a good friend of mine, Joey Cifuentes, Elite Series Pro. And I just want to tell a little bit about the first time we met. So we're practicing music. Myself, Luke Duncan, Shannon Wheeler, Ryan Engelman, and John Simpson. We are the Fat Rascals. We'll be playing again this year at the Bassmaster Classic in Knoxville, but we're getting ready to have our show. We're practicing music in a house there in where were we last year? Fort Worth.
Yes,
Yeah,
Dallas.
yeah. We were in the DFW area, and there's a knock on the door, and we're fully expecting to get a noise ordinance because we're practicing music in this Airbnb of Luke's. And in walks Joey C. and sweet Miss Gwen, Joey's wife. And then in walks the largest human being that I have ever seen before my whole entire life. And like, didn't know this guy from Adam. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what a man. Walks in. It is Ben. Ben is an offensive guard, left guard, I believe, for the Baltimore Ravens. Played 5 years at Georgia. And you're a great big dude. We are 6'6", 6'7", 360, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Somewhere in that, depending on my breakfast of the morning.
And Ben walks in. We start talking. Ben's just a country boy, just like I am, out of Toccoa, Georgia. Now, that's right there on the South Carolina line around Hartwell, right?
That's it. On Hartwell.
Played at the University of Georgia for 5 years. Did you get a national championship while you were there?
Nope, I left the year before they won it, of course.
I
Typical
mean,
fashion.
dude, third round draft pick, has spent his entire pro football career playing with the Ravens. And like when I say this dude's the biggest guy you've ever seen, I think it'd take, David and a slingshot to kill him. Like, great big boy. I know you get tired of getting told that, but you're just massive. Like, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, kind of like the beard. Just you get blessed with good genetics sometimes. So, only people had anything to do with that were my mom and my dad. So
How big is your mom? This is not a yo mama so fat joke.
No, 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 no. So it's kind of funny, actually. I mean, both of my parents, my mom's probably 5'6", something like that. My dad's 6'2", maybe something like that. But I mean, when my dad graduated high school, I mean, he was 230 pounds, 240 pounds, something like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where it came from. I mean, hell, I got a brother that's 6'5". So we both just got really good height genetics, I guess.
And like you weigh 360 pounds, and I've seen you with your shirt off, and there ain't no fat there. Like Ben's pure muscle.
This preface is the only reason you see me with my shirt off was because it was hot on the boat that day.
I mean, we ain't got to get into all that and get people asking questions. You know how the internet is. But called Ben after the classic, was like, hey, you want to come film a show with us? And that show's airing this week on the Outdoor Channel. We went to Kentucky Lake and absolutely beat their head in. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But obviously, you play football for a living. But dude, you're an outdoorsman, just like everybody listening to this podcast, just like I am. You love hunting and fishing. Talk about how you kind of got into it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. So I mean, growing up, small town America, you had to hunt, you had to fish, you had to do what you had to do to put grocery on the table. I mean, both parents working full time jobs. Me and my brother, we were only 3 years apart. So, we mom and dad had two high school boys in the house. They were spending $400 or $500 a week on groceries. And so, we had to hunt. I mean, my dad grew up hunting, things like that. So, I mean, Lord, like I was in the woods before I could walk. I mean, my dad was having to carry me to the woods, on his shoulder just because I wasn't old enough to walk in there by myself yet. But other than that, I mean, the fishing side of life growing up, we probably lived, I would say our house probably 10 minutes from 5 different boat ramps on Lake Hartwell on the Georgia side. And, didn't do a whole lot of lake fishing growing up. Mostly just farm ponds and things like that. But then I got into high school and, a lady that worked with my mom, her husband fished on the lake a lot, and he was like, "You want to come fishing with me?" So I was like, "Yeah, sign me up. Like I'm there." And so him and I started fishing together a pretty good bit. Then my dad bought his own bass boat. Right there towards the end of my high school. So we
When he
started
got
going
you
out and
finally off
fishing
his
on.
grocery bill, he had enough. He
Yeah,
had enough money to make a boat payment at that point. I'm
yeah,
guessing.
exactly. He basically took the grocery bill and started putting it towards the boat note. But no, then we started fishing, and just the more I got out there, the more I started fishing. Like one of my good buddies in college, Nathan Ragsdale, works for Berkeley now, does a lot of stuff for them. And we went fishing together. His home lake was Lake Lanier, so did some fishing on Lake Lanier a good bit in college, and then I bought a house on the lake a couple years ago, and just told myself, I was like, I can't live on the lake without having a bass boat. Because I mean, what's the point of that? So
Exactly.
bought my own boat. It's funny. The first right after I bought my house, and I was like, I don't want to buy a new boat right now. Like, let me just go find a used whatever. So I bought a buddy of mine had a 2011 Nitro Z7 with a Mercury 150 on it, and I got on that boat, and I think I could top it out at about 45 miles an hour, something like that. And the first day that morning that I went fishing on it, man, I had all my rods and stuff laid up on the deck, and I get trying to move it around. I'm like, I can't do this. Like I can't do this. So I called one of my buddies, Josh Weaver, um, who's a professional
Row over
fisherman.
on the PT side. Yep.
Yep. And I said, hey man, I said I need a new boat. I said, send me somewhere to go get a new boat. So he sent me down to Central Georgia Marine, down there in Macon, where he gets fitted for his boat every year. And I walked in the dealership. I said, this is what I want. I said, this is what I got right now. I said, let me trade it in. I said, let me walk out of here with a new boat. And that's what we did. I mean, I went down there, picked up a brand new Skeeter, and took it to the lake. And I mean, as soon as I got home, broke that motor in, it was game over.
That everybody remembers their first bass boat. Mine. I had a 1989, so it was 2 years younger than me. Uh, 89 Stratus 285, and then like my first big boat was a Skeeter. Running a Falcon now. We got to get you in a Falcon. I mean, a man your size needs a big deck, and Falcon's got the biggest decks out there.
Dude, I tell you what, man, whenever you and I went fishing out on Kentucky Lake, that was the first time I'd been in a Falcon, and I was extremely impressed by how much room you and I had on the front of the boat, with Shannon back there filming and all that stuff. I mean, we were hardly never running into each other. Or, I mean, there was the one where I accidentally knocked you off the boat. But I mean, other than that, man, we had plenty of room for activities and moving around, and I was thoroughly impressed by the Falcons.
Yeah, I've been can't wait to get my 26 in here and get it rigged. Be here before long, and those guys over at Falcon are great guys. Um, so tell me about growing up playing football. That's kind of what you do for a living, and are able to make a pretty good living out of it. Did you start playing pee wee when you were 10 or 6, or kind of how'd that go?
Yeah, I mean, it was a typical, everybody starts out in the rec league and all this and that. Um, it was kind of an easy decision considering I was always a couple heads taller than everybody else was anyhow. Um, but played obviously pee wee through middle school into high school, and my first year of high school rolls around, get done playing that, and my head football coach, he comes up to me, he was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like, University of Florida is going to come and they're going to call, they're going to offer you a scholarship to come play football later today." And I was like, "No shit, that's pretty cool." So,
And this is when you're a
had to,
freshman.
yeah. So, had that conversation with him, got the phone call. Then after that, more and more offers started rolling in, and um, it put a little bit of decision making on my part because baseball was truly my number one favorite sport growing up.
Really?
My brother played college baseball down at Georgia Southern, and him and I, he was a senior when I was a freshman, and luckily we got to play 1 year of high school sports together. But the decision making time kind of come down to, well, baseball ain't gonna pay me a full ride, but the football thing might. So kind of hung up the baseball cleats and started diving more into the full blown football route, and just took it and ran with it. And I never got into college football for making money and all this and that. I mean, I love the game. I still love the game. I mean, waking up and getting to do what you love every day is something you can't put a price tag on. Um, but I mean, it's one of those things you grow up with it, you learn to love it, and it creates so many opportunities for you, down the road.
Yeah, especially somebody with your size and your talent, and that's what I didn't really realize. I played football growing up, played center. I mean, I'm 6 foot. At that point I was 230, somewhere in that neighborhood. Never been the most athletic, but wasn't completely unathletic either. But I played against some D1 guys, and they're just different. And
Yeah,
then I went to college at the University of Tennessee at Martin, and going there, like, you see dudes walking around, in the cafeteria or at class or whatever, and they're built different. And that's something that you and I talked about it. It's something you can't teach. Good Lord either gives it to you or you don't. He didn't give it to me. That's why I got to try to go make a living fishing. Um, but he definitely gave it to you. Talk about the recruitment process. What was the wildest thing that you got offered? I feel like a statute of limitations has run out at this point. We can kind of talk about it.
no, you know what? It's actually funny. Like you hear all these stories about guys getting paid all this and that. I never picked up a freaking penny from anybody. I guess shame on me for, having a set of morals and, you know, trying to do the right thing,
Be a good guy.
trying to go about things the right way, not wanting to get in trouble with this and that. But man, I hear all these stories about people getting, 50, $60,000, and I'm like, I didn't get squat. Like, what did I do wrong? Like, why did I not play, those hands better and try to do that? But no, man, I wish I had a cool story to tell about something I got offered or, anything like that. But I never got around it.
And
Never,
it, and
never
and
seen.
this was pre NIL. Like it's
Yeah, I mean,
completely different now.
oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like anything that was given to anybody was all hush hush under the table. Like, don't see it, don't speak about it. Things like that. I mean, now it's just who was it? I think it was Coach O that used to coach for the LSU. He
Go
said the
Tigers. Go
difference.
Tigers.
Yeah, that guy. And he said the difference between recruiting now is back then you walked in the back door with a backpack full of cash. Now you just walk through the front door with a backpack full of cash. So, it's a completely different world now with the NIL and all that stuff.
Yeah, transfer portal and all that stuff. I mean, it's just changed the game, for good, for worse. I don't know. There was a lot of people making money off of your talents, off of people paying to watch you. That wasn't you. So I get the NIL stuff. Is it good for the sport? I don't know. You've got guys transferring every year that are going to 15 different colleges and all that good stuff. But kind of is what it is right now.
Is it good to a certain extent? Yes, but at some point in time, they're gonna have to put a limit on something. Because I mean, if it's a booster taking a guy out to dinner, hey man, here's a vehicle to drive around. Don't worry about paying for it, something like that. But I mean, you got these dudes going and making 2, 3, $4 million a year, transferring here, there, and yonder. I mean, you give a 17, 18-year-old kid $4 million. I,
Some bad
I wouldn't know.
decisions are going to be
I
made.
wouldn't know how to handle that. Hell, I'm 27 and you give me a check for $4 million. I still wouldn't know how to handle it.
I know how I was at like 18, 19, 20, and
Oh,
it wouldn't
yeah.
have been good. I would have had a
No,
brand new bass boat.
I'd had a brand new bass boat, brand new truck, brand new house, brand new everything.
Yeah, no, I get it completely. So with your, playing football is a year round deal. I mean, you're working out, you're in the facility, you play, you live in Maryland, got an apartment up there, you got a house, that you stay there in Baltimore. But like, how often do you get to hunt and fish through the season, or how free is your off season? Kind of tell me a little bit about how that looks as an NFL player.
Yeah, so I mean, off season is super cut and dry. I mean, you've got basically, from the end of the season, Lord willing, you make it to a Super Bowl. You got from middle of February basically to the end of April. That's off season. Enjoy your time away. Kind of, you got your own workout schedule, things like that. Um, so I mean, that's you spring fishing, that's you spawn fishing, and you turkey hunting and all that good stuff. Then April to basically middle of June, you got your voluntary OTA workouts and stuff like that. So, report back up here, get back with the team, start going through learning the offense again, just kind of getting refreshed and, doing workouts with the team, things like that. Um, and I mean, that's pretty free will. Like, you got your meeting times and stuff like that in the morning. You got your little walkthroughs in the mornings and things like that. But I mean, you're done at uh probably 12:30, 1 o'clock every day. And I mean, that's only Monday through Thursday. So I mean, you take off on a Friday, or Thursday afternoon, man, you go somewhere, fish Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come back Monday morning, and you're good to go. I mean, I spent a lot of time down on old Shannon Wheeler's home lake down there in Virginia on Smith Mountain.
What a
Man,
phenomenal fishery.
you know what? I've been down there 3 years in a row now, and they have beat my ass every single time that I have been down there. I got on some stripers and some hybrid pretty good the last 2 years, but man, I could not buy a freaking largemouth bite. Just couldn't do it. I guess I'm
Well, I'm a
kind of at a disadvantage just because growing up fishing Lake Hartwell, we didn't really fish the South Carolina side. We didn't never go down to the Seneca River. We fished up in, Gumlog and, up on the north end of the lake. And,
Mhm.
water's a lot dirtier, water's a lot shallower. And, you get on them big, tall mountain lakes like that. I mean, dude, you got to catch fish in, 60 foot of water if it's that time of year where they ain't pushed up shallow getting ready to spawn yet, or they're either postponed and they're moved out. So I mean, it's a new experience for me trying to go down there and learn how to catch them deep like that. Especially in that clear water, man. That crystal clear mountain lake water, it makes the fishing so much more difficult.
It does, and it changes it. I've been fortunate enough that I've been around, you know, stuff with 15 feet of visibility, like the lower end of Hartwell or, you know, Dale Holler. A lot of those highland reservoirs get super clear. Those up north
Yeah,
lakes get super, super clear. And then I've also fished some rivers and, grew up on Old Hickory Lake right outside of Nashville that's got a foot and a half if it's clear. If it don't,
yeah,
you know, normally it's got 8 inches to a foot. Um, and fishing changes so much is that's what I love about it is, and that's why I started this podcast as well, was to talk about the differences because you catch them differently on Hartwell and Lanier than you catch them on Smith Mountain or you catch them on Old Hickory or you catch them on Rayburn. Wherever you go in the country, it's all different. It's the differences in it. While a bass is a bass is a bass, there's lots of little nuanced stuff that if you miss, you can
yeah. I
you can
mean,
sure enough get your head beat in.
where the bass want to be and when they want to be there. I mean, it that changes even from the north end to the south end of the lake. I mean, up on the north end of Hartwell, you're fishing, structure up on the banks. Then you get down on the south end of the Seneca River, then you're fishing more offshore stuff down there. So I mean, there's a lot of different things that people don't realize go into it. I mean, sure, you can just pull up on the bank and you can just beat the banks to death, and you can pull 3 or 4 little ones out of there. But I mean, if you really want to go and find the fish, like you got to know where they at and what they want to eat.
Let's back up just a little bit. Let's talk about, the you go through the combine, I'm assuming.
Um,
When you graduated college, obviously you're going into the NFL. You're one of those elite talents. Dude, at 6'7", 360, did I read it right that you ran a 4.85 one time?
Technically unofficial, but yeah, right there in the ballpark.
Jesus, that is
I
fast for a dude your
I,
size.
I was also 345. I wasn't quite 360 then, but close enough.
My goodness. I could not imagine being on a kickoff return team and having somebody your size running that fast at me trying to block you.
I've always wanted to do it just one time. I just always wanted to be on just kickoff unit and just go full speed for 40 yards as fast as you can and just try to see how much you can just destroy something.
It would happen. It would happen. I mean, there's a reason that there's concussion protocol, and it's cause of big some bitches like you that run that
No
fast.
doubt. Oh, I'm either going to hurt myself or somebody else. No in betweens.
Oh my gosh. So we graduate college. NFL teams start calling. Do you do private workouts or tell me about that?
So typically not during whenever you're first coming out. They kind of got your draft. Oh, and the new puppy dog wanted to show up and
Oh,
come say
hello,
hello.
puppy. Hello,
This
puppy.
is Mr. Led.
Lead. I like it.
Yeah, Led. Had to change the spelling from LEAD to LED because people were just calling him lead. And I'm like, no, it's a duck dog. We
Lead.
call him Led.
Got it.
Um, but no, so coming out of college, you don't really do a whole lot of individual workouts for a team. Um, unless you're like an undrafted free agent or something like that, then teams will call you and want you to go out. Like they have a part of the combine basically is just as just a bunch of interviews and things like that. So you'll go and, each NFL team has scouts and stuff like that. They'll send down and, you'll sit down with them, go through like an NFL playbook and, kind of dissect how you see things and all that. So once you come out of college, it's not really so much going in for individual workouts and things like that. That's kind of just if a team wants you and they're going to draft you, like that it is what it is. Then after you get to hit the free agency market and you're kind of bouncing back and forth looking for a team, then guys will call you in, want to do individual workouts and things like that. But thankfully, I've never had to go through it. Been extremely fortunate to spend my whole 5-year tenure here with the Ravens, and haven't had to really get into the stress of that yet.
Talk about draft day. Now, I'm assuming that like you've paid attention to either ESPN or maybe there's you've got an agent that's talking to these people and roughly where you're going to go in the draft unless you're Shadur Sanders this year, maybe.
Yeah, I mean you've got a pretty decent idea. Like your agent, they're talking to enough GMs and enough teams where they kind of know, you know, where as a player where you fit at to an offense or defense, and where they think they want to take you at, this and that. But no, I mean draft night was kind of cool. Like I knew, like I had a pretty good chance of being picked up on the second day. So had a watch party at my buddy's house, and it's funny. It got towards the end of the third round, and I was sitting there, and I walked out. I walked out to the front of the driveway to grab a can of dip out of my truck, and I reached down, and grabbed my phone out of my pocket, and I had a missed call, and I'm like, "Huh, that's weird." So I called the number back real quick, and it went straight to voicemail, and it was like, "This is the Baltimore Ravens." I'm like, "Oh shit." I was like, I just missed my draft call. Like that they couldn't get a hold of me. They about to pick somebody else. So I called them back like 3 times, and it went straight to voicemail every time. And I'm like, well, there's that. And then after I hung up the phone on the third one, they called me back. And it's funny because everybody's like, oh well, you got to know when you're getting drafted and all this. Dude, it was kind of cool, man. I knew before they said my name on TV, they called me probably 45 seconds before.
Oh
So I
wow.
mean, I literally, I mean, it was a minute and a half from the time that they made that phone call till they announced it on TV.
Really? So it's not like they
Yeah.
called
So
you 2 hours beforehand.
no, no, no. It wasn't like they called me, before it started and was like, "Hey, this is where we're going to pick you up at." Like, no, I mean they literally called me a minute before they announced it on TV,
And you missed the call.
and I missed the call. Missed the call and got sent to voicemail 3 times. Whoa.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
that made that pucker muscle tighten up real quick.
No doubt. No doubt. But I mean, they called you back. You've had a great tenure there. Um, what's your favorite thing about playing for the Ravens? They've got a very
It,
passionate fan base.
dude, let me tell you something. Like, there's nothing like home games here. It doesn't matter if it's a 1 o'clock kickoff or 8 o'clock kickoff. Man, home games here are absolutely out of this world. I mean, seriously, like you go home and your ears are ringing because everybody's screaming so loud, and like it's just like you just left a concert standing right beside the daggum speakers. But I mean, the fans are unbelievable. I mean, the atmosphere during a game is just out of this world.
Is it better there, or is it better in Georgia playing in front of 80,000?
You know what's funny? In college, I never really paid attention. I never really paid attention to the stadium and to the crowds and all that stuff. Like they kind of run together. Um, but like in the NFL, because so many stadiums are built differently, just like the layouts of the stadiums, and some stadiums the fans are 5 yards behind the players right off of the field. And, some stadiums, they're 15, 20 yards behind the benches and all that stuff. So like it really and truly, like, it all depends on where you're at, just like how loud it really seems. I mean, every fan base is going to get loud at some point in time during the game, no doubt
Of
about it.
course.
But no, it's funny because there can be some pretty competitive trash talking going on between the fans right there behind the bench and some of the players whenever they come off the field.
What I play like again, I played I started 2 years in high school, played quite a bit my sophomore year. Um, but from the guys that I was friends with that played college ball, the step up in the speed of the game and the size and the complexity of it from high school to college was a giant step. And I imagine it's 2 or 3 times that going from, a D1 college school to the NFL.
Yes and no. You talk to some guys that come from these smaller schools and things like that, and they'll say, "Hell yeah!" Like there's such a big difference just in the talent level and the speed of the game, and what all goes into it. But luckily coming from a Division 1 program in the SEC, like you're playing against all these first, second round draft picks week in and week out, for 5 years.
Right.
Like you're preparing for that in a different kind of way. Whenever you start the collegiate level at that D1 SEC, ACC, whatever it may be. Um, and it's funny, actually, I would say whenever you get to the NFL, like not the speed of the game, but your mental speed of the game, just because it's one of those things you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. It becomes a habit. You get it figured out. Like you're not you're not sitting here thinking, oh, where have I seen this before? Like like you're very mentally locked into what you need to know and things like that. So really, I mean, I think, in the NFL, and I mean, obviously the talent level is still like, I mean, that's why they say in the NFL, it's a week to week league because at any given time, any team in the NFL can beat you. I mean, that's just how it goes. Like people forget that, like, these guys are NFL players too. Like they were drafted, like they're obviously, the best athletes in the world. But no, I think whenever you get to this level and like you stick around it for so long, like you get a better understanding of, you know, situations in games of, whether that be, a 2 minute situation or, opening drive of the game, coming out of halftime, something like that. Like you have such a better understanding of those situational aspects, and it allows you to like slow the game down in your head and play it out before it ever happens.
And that's something that until you and I got to talking a lot, like I didn't realize how many meetings and how much film stuff that y'all do. Like the practice, the actual practice is not, it's only a small part of what you're
Yeah.
doing to get prepared.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say that on average practice is 2 hours, and we probably spend uh, six 6 hours in meetings to 2 hours of practice. I mean, there's a lot of the mental aspect and just knowing your assignment is 95% of the game. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like we're all professional athletes. Like we know how to play football. Like we know how to block guys. We know how to take a pass set. Like we know how to block and do things that we've been doing our whole lives. But the mental aspect of different defensive fronts and different plays from the offense, like that's 95% of the battle right there. Like being tuned into that and knowing 100%, this is my job, this is what I've got to do every single time. If you can get that down pat, I mean that sets you up for success long down the road.
And that's a, take out the physical side. but that's a direct kind of comparison with professional fishermen. I grew up fishing local fruit jar tournaments all the way up through the opens. Um, and I've had the chance to be in a boat with a lot of the top tier professional fishermen, the Ott Defoes and the Kyle Welchers and you know, John Cruz and the list goes on with the guys that I've been able to fish with. And it's at that level, everybody can skip a jig. Everybody can look at their side scan and know what they're looking at. Um, obviously there's some guys better at it than others, but it's not the, how to make a cast or how to tie on the right knot for a crankbait or line or something like that. It's 98% mental, I
Oh
would
yeah,
say there. And those guys that do it professionally for a living on the tournament side, it's just decisions and
yeah,
it's recognizing stuff quicker than everybody else. It when I kind of made a turn and started having a little bit of success in tournaments, and by no means am I on the Kyle Welcher level or the Wes Logan level by any means, Brandon Cobb. But it's how quick they notice stuff. And it's the same thing you're talking about right there. If a linebacker moves over or a nose tackle moves over in a A gap or whatever that does, that changes your assignment, you know, based on that defensive front. It's the exact same thing that these guys do when they're fishing. You recognize that like that because you've trained for it. You're in meetings 6 hours a day. These guys are doing the exact same thing where a local angler that doesn't do it for a living may, oh, well, I caught him yesterday flipping bushes. Well, the waters fell out an inch. Well, he may spend 4 hours still flipping bushes because that's how he caught him yesterday.
yep.
When these elite guys, and I'm not just talking about elite series, BPT, elite, NPFL guys, the top tier people, they figured that out in 10 minutes. They're like, oh, well, I caught him here yesterday flipping bushes. Water's dropped out 3 inches. They make 3 casts on the best bushes in the area and they don't have a bite. They're already moving. They're
They're
already
gone.
going
Yeah,
to
they're
something
gone. I
else.
mean, it's the same. It's the same thing in my world. I mean, it's quick decision making. You if you sit there and you hesitate and you think about, oh well, should I do this? Should I do that? Like it's too late at that point. I mean, especially I'm on the fence about tournament fish, and we'll take this back to the fishing side of things and kind of compare them to both at the same time. Because like I'm kind of on the fence about fishing tournaments. I love to fish a couple tournaments every year. Don't get me wrong, but the part of me that fell in love with fishing was just going and relaxing and catching fish. And if you don't catch fish, it's still nice just to be out there and do this and that. But I will say, like, in tournaments and once I started fishing tournaments on my own and things like that, it's just the decision making is quick. Like, just like you said, like you go and flip that bush 3 times, and if they ain't a fish in there, I'm going. Like, I'm not going to sit there and waste my time, you know, trying to make a fish bite that ain't even there no more. Sure, they was they're there yesterday. They was there in practice. They ain't there today.
They
Like,
were
and
there
it's
2 hours ago. Like these
yeah,
guys, they just move so fast. And again, it's a speed of the game thing. And you get left in the dust really quickly at the professional level, whether it's the NFL or whether it
yeah,
is whether it's pro fishing.
yeah.
So talk about our couple of days on Kentucky Lake from your perspective. I'll lead into it just a little bit. So it was in the first week of June. I had fished a tournament there 2 weeks prior. Finished sixth in the Bass Nation State Tournament, fifth or sixth, something like that, and had tried to find them offshore. It was last week of May, second. Yeah, I guess it was kind of the
Yeah, right there.
20th or
And
so, 21st,
yeah,
when I fished that tournament. And I'd spent like 2 days graphing, and like they weren't there. Now, from talking to some buddies of mine that are on that lake every day, apparently they got out like 2 days before they got out like during the tournament. I didn't adjust to it, still had a pretty good tournament, but I knew by that time those fish for sure were going to be out. And I had some pretty decent spots that I caught them in some years past. But dude, it was a freaking blast. We smoked them.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely didn't have a shortage of fish to be caught. That's for sure. And it was. I will say, one of the things that I took away from that trip that we had was, we spent all of our time fishing ledges. I told you because we pulled up on one ledge and couldn't really get them to bite, and I was like, well, hell, let's go flip these boat docks over here and just see. And he was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, these fish are schooled up on these ledges, but we went and flipped a few boat docks anyway, and obviously didn't have no luck doing that. But just going and finding those fish on the side skin and fishing them ledges and seeing where they were schooled up at, and just knowing, if you can get in here and you can get that first fish and you get a good hook set on that first fish and you get them in the boat, you just turn them things on. I mean, that was, once you caught one, you caught 10. And, we pulled up to a couple spots and you told me, you said, it's always the most important fish is the first one that bites whenever you pull up on a school of fish. Because if you miss that first fish, he's like, you'll turn them off. He's like, but if you sit there and you put that first fish in the boat, you're going to fire them fish up, and it's going to get real fun. And, I think we did that. I mean, we had that one spot that we hung out on. We probably caught 35, 40 fish off it, fished it at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, went, had lunch, come back, and they was still there.
Yeah, that
So,
was so that was it was a point. It was a main creek point that was just inside the creek. Um, I had scanned it. It had a few fish on it a couple of weeks before. I knew there would be. They were coming to it, and I really wish that we had. So the first day, let me back up just a little bit. The first day we were there, wind blew like 30 miles an hour out of the north. It was insane. Like we could not get out on the main river and be productive. We caught, two or three little fish and fishing boat docks and some stuff like that in some creeks, just kind of hiding from the wind that afternoon. But the second day we were there, the wind laid and we put the boat in, ran straight to a spot that I knew there was a few fish on. And I'll never forget scanning over with live scope. And I looked at Shannon, the camera guy, and also fiddle player extraordinaire. And I I scanned over and I'm like, you can just turn the camera on because this is about to be a beatdown. And I threw a minnow in there and caught like a 3.5, 4 pounder that first cast. And then we proceeded to beat their head in.
yeah, that
It
was
was,
fishing right there. And, even shaking a minnow at them, dragging that Carolina rig across the bottom. I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, you was throwing that big deep diving crankbait. I mean, it didn't matter what you threw in there. We was throwing, jigs, dragging jigs, swim jigs, whatever it was. I mean, it didn't matter what you were throwing. Them fish, I mean, they were fired up and they were hungry. And we didn't miss the hook set on a lot of fish. They wasn't
we
they
did
wasn't
not.
many they wasn't many fish that started biting that didn't get a hook shoved through their mouth.
Well, let's talk about that. So we had a social media post. It went a little bit viral. I think it's got 400,000 views, and the amount of people that were angry about your hook set was amazing, appalling. I'm like, what the hell? What are these guys so mad about?
I mean, at the end of the day, hook sets are free, especially when you're using somebody else's hooks. I mean, I don't know if you remember that one. I set the hook into a rock, and I mean, I let it have all of, yeah, because that was the one I bruised my dadgum rib cage on. And
Broke my rod one time.
I mean, people are mad that you set the hook hard, all this and that. You know what? I didn't rip the hook out of none of their mouths. I buried that
No.
hook in their. I buried it in the top of their lip, and guess what? My hook up to miss ratio setting the hook hard is a lot better than yours. It's just barely giving it a little jerk. So you know what? Let them be
What a lot
mad.
of people don't, you're right. What a lot of people don't realize is like if you're fishing braid and you're fishing 20 feet away from a boat or 30 feet away from a boat, you don't like, I'll actually use a softer rod because I'm going to smoke them every time.
Yeah,
But I'll use a softer rod for that because there's no stretch, there's no give, and they're close.
yep,
And some of those fish, you can rip a hook like completely out of their mouth. That
Yeah,
didn't
and
happen to us. We were fishing a
no,
ledge in 20 foot of water.
yeah, and another thing people don't realize about that neither is, I mean, we were sitting there unspooling our reels every time trying to reach the fish.
Yep.
Because I mean, we had the wind at our backs, and I mean, we were making, we were bombing casts, and I mean, whenever you got 60 foot of line out in the water, not only that, especially fishing how I was fishing with that Carolina rig. I mean, I got that gum weight. I got that 1 1/4 ounce weight. 6 foot up in front of my dadgum in front of my leader and my swivel. I mean, you gotta yank the line through that and get that weight to sink back down on that swivel to get a good hook set in. So I
I
mean, you
think
can't, especially
I
with
think
a Carolina rig, because I will say a Carolina and a Texas rig are kind of, that's what I hang my hat on. But I mean, whenever you're making them long casts like that, and you've got that monofilament that's got a little bit of give to it, I mean, you gotta set it into them pretty good. Because if you don't, by the time that tension gets down there to set the hook, that fish has done dropped it.
yeah, for
But yeah,
sure.
people was real upset about that, and I think it's kind of funny.
I did too.
Y'all ought to watch me go and catch brim. I set the hook on them the same way.
So I'm going to give me just a second here, and we're going to call a dude or two out because they got really really upset for no reason, and we're going to look here, and we're going to say some names, Ben, because I ain't scared, and I know you sure as shit ain't scared. Go back here. Okay, so we posted a
You gotta find the one about the guy talking about if he was on the front of my boat setting the hook like that, I'd take him to the bank and whoop his ass or something. He would never fish with me again or something like that. There was a lot of people real upset that you and I were on the front of the boat fishing together too. Like, people don't realize whenever you got two rather large people and a cameraman in the boat, there's got to be some sacrifices made somewhere or another.
yes.
And I mean, you sit there like I've been watching the MLF, on my YouTube TV. They've been playing a bunch of the MLF stuff. And, all these guys fishing these 2-man teams, they're both fishing on the front of the boat together.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just whenever you're in that situation, that's what you got to do. This ain't no freaking pot tournament that you're fishing on the weekend with your buddies where, you know, the guy that owns the boat, he gets to fish all the premier spots, stand on the front, running the trolling motor, and the guy that's sitting on the back of the boat gets shafted fishing all the leftovers.
Let me see if I can get to one that said he's going to. Here, one dude said, "Dude needs to be on the football field and not in a bass boat." I don't know if you really realized what you did. Um, Dave Babs here. Dave Babs said setting the hook like it was a muskie, and it was even overkill for that. Pulling in a 2 pound bass that could have died from the hook set alone.
I ain't never killed a bass from setting the hook too hard.
Me neither. Me neither. Um, they look Ricky Porter, Ricky with two E's, said they look like complete idiots. Setting a hook on a 2.5 pound bass like you're trying to pull up the Titanic is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I want to find the one that said he was. Oh, Herb Hainstick Hanley. Herb, if you're out there listening, first off, the main thing is there's no one up effing. We're not going to use it because YouTube will kick us off on front of my boat, or even if I'm on someone else's, I'm not on front with them. Obviously, his deck is smaller than mine because I felt like it fit. We're both big boys. Not one of us is a lot bigger than the other one. But Herb, you need you a Falcon. And that way you've got enough room to fit two people. Number two, you've never filmed a TV show because you can't film a front and back deck at the same time.
No, I mean, not unless you got a double facing camera.
Let's I'm trying to find the one that said he was gonna whip you. Or would whip you. Let's go to all. I think it was pretty recent. A few more comments. Come on. This is a good one. maybe I can't. Maybe he deleted it because I called him out.
I was about to
Um,
say, I know you replied to that one and said, "You take a fellow like this to the bank and see what happens."
yes, yes. I really wish I could find the guy's name, and maybe it was on Instagram.
No,
Um,
that one was on Facebook.
it was all on Facebook. Um, it's where it's amazing the difference between the crowd on Instagram and Facebook. Oh yeah, Brian Simon says, "Nah, I'd push him off my boat for that stuff. Get to the back of the boat and cast your way away from my casting direction. Setting the hook like that's ridiculous." I replied, "Bet you wouldn't." He said, boy has to old boy has to understand he's not the boat captain or can fish from the shore. I'm 250 pounds and can hold my own." Nah, dog. I don't think you understand.
There's a reason why he's commenting on Facebook posts and he's not the one filming shows.
This is true. This is true. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
would.
pissed a lot of people off with that one.
I don't know why we just caught fish.
You know what? I think if I wouldn't have knocked you off the front of the boat, I don't think anybody would have said a word.
I
But
mean, it
I mean,
happens. You got
but you know
excited,
what?
knocked me
But
off
you
the
know
front of the
what?
boat.
The fish still got in the boat, and that's all that matters. I'll go swimming to catch a fish. I don't care.
I went swimming so you could, and I was
Exactly.
100% okay with it.
Exactly. And I didn't even make you bring the fish up in the boat whenever you climb back in.
This is true. This is true. Well, Ben, I really appreciate you spending some time with us. We had an absolute blast making this show. Hope you guys enjoy watching it. Ben did break my rod. Ben did knock me in the lake. So check it out on the Outdoor Channel World Fishing Network. And you post some stuff on socials. Where can they find you?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the good ones. Ben Cleveland 74. Bunch of hunting pictures, bunch of fishing pictures, bunch of football pictures. That's all you get from me.
I mean, that's pretty much what every red-blooded American male should like.
That's exactly right. I used to have a cooking page too, but I don't use it no more.
Ah, well,
I gotta get that back up and running though, because I sure do like to burn it down on the grill.
dude, I'm going to pick up a new one tomorrow. I'm pretty excited.
What are you getting?
I have got a master-built smoker.
Mm,
They
fancy.
are so. Didn't know this. Friend of mine I duck hunt with that I stay with when I'm in Arkansas. Completely off topic here, guys, but this is what we do here. You can take it all to the bank. Um, master built. They use like actual lump charcoal in the
Mm-hmm.
burners, but they've still got the controller like the pellet grills do. And the smoke flavor that it puts out, you can grill on it like
Oh,
it gets to
so
six or
you
seven
can
hundred,
kind of you can adjust your temperature and get it to kind of do the
and it
same with the
stays.
lump charcoal.
Yes, and the smoke
Oh,
flavor it puts on is amazing. You can get it to like 6 or 700 if you want to grill steaks or something like that. I'm pretty pumped about it. I've never owned a master built. I've had a pit boss and a Traeger or two, and some more pellet grills. I'm kind of a grill aficionado, if you can't tell by my size. Um, so we do have to tell them what you called me. So we were fishing. We were having a big time. I start rapping now, guys. I'm the most redneck Caucasian dude that you'll ever meet.
you can't consider that rapping. You were more so trying to play Dr. Seuss and just make a few rhymes here and there with a little bit of rhythm to it.
And what did you call me?
Mr. Marshmallow Mathers. So
Marshmallow
so
Matters.
so from that
Oh,
point on, he was no longer Ben, he was Marshmallow Mathers.
there we go. And I
We're trying
told
to make
you,
bad rhymes.
if you wasn't so big, I'd whip your ass. But you're
Well, you
big,
did
so I
say
ain't
that.
going to.
Exactly. So we'll just leave it at Marshmallow Mathers and go on about our business.
Well, guys, I have certainly enjoyed it. Ben, you were a great guest on the show. You're a super interesting podcast guest here too. I really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us here. Guys, don't go make stupid comments on Facebook. Like like it's okay. Everybody fishes different. If you don't set the hook that hard, that's okay. Like, don't make yourself look like a fool, because that's what you do, especially when you tell one of the biggest players in the NFL that you would take him to the bank and whip his ass, because ain't gonna happen.
No. But you should give the hook sets a try. I guarantee you your hookup ratio go skyrocket.
Especially when you spooling your reels with a C rig way out there.
That's right. So give it a shot, give it a try. Maybe you'll like it, and then you'll understand it ain't that big of a deal.
You ain't ripping their lips off. It's all good.
Yeah, you're not killing the fish, sweetheart. You're just catching the fish. You ain't killing them.
Guys, you can take that right there to the bank.